Yo, apparently I got slammed, man. I don't know what happened. I must have lost connection or some shit for all my homies still out there. Let's see here. I have no idea where I ended. I'm just gonna have to find kind of where I ended off on this video, dude. Okay. Oh no, this is gonna be real far back in it. Oh, where was that? Yep, holy shit. We are way back, boys. We are way back. Oh no. Let's see here. Let's go to my live content so I can see you guys. Let's see where we're at. Let's make sure our stream is still hanging out. Do I got it? Let's pop up. I don't know what happened. Yep. Holy shit. We are. Boom, boom, boom. I love this song. This is why it's in so many of mine. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I don't know what happened last time around, but it is what it is, and we're making it happen, okay? Like, who knows? Apparently, my OBS couldn't handle the ridiculousness that was this video, so. All right, that being said, let's get back to where we were. I think we were somewhere in here-ish.
Where he
continue.
had some kind of drug experience from Kathmandu. Those were the beings that he was talking about. Those were the monitors of Nil that became the Kathmandu people. That's what he was talking about. There's a hierarchy there. Plain time comic books.
There's a hierarchy there.
Then Cube Time, which is...
Okay. All that can be soloed. I don't know if y'all got this, so I'm going to slap it again. If you ever want to one-shot this kind of argument, it's super-de-duper easy. During the 2018 run, they flat out say... Yo, I had been infinite was contained to 52 universes, and my brother, the original monitor, was reborn, splintered into many aspects. So, the original monitor was indeed the OG monitor that made all the other monitors. Super easy, super straightforward. You can check this scan. It's about as straightforward as it gets, boys. Like, it's sad that we're here. Like, come on now. Come on.
Us in the real world, where nothing in plain time can go. And then above that, in religious context,
the real world and cosmology is another universe in the orrery. So, like, well,
was hypertime where the monitors exist, and beyond that was the overvoid. So what you're telling people is that ink and
monitors existed beyond that, but
and do what Grant says they can't do. I'm not going to listen to you, and nobody should listen to you when they see Grant live on video explaining this.
Okay.
When he's live on video,
Grant's explaining it at the time.
What you're saying, I don't think anybody should listen to
it.
But sure, I guess I kind of respect your opinion a little bit.
I mean,
and on the topic of this Roxogama
you don't
orb
have
thing,
to, really.
First off, here's what happens when you take both of these pictures and put them in Photoshop and mess with the lighting.
Oh
you can
no,
see
the
that both of them are
Photoshop.
Specifically drawn with a dual ring.
He's pulling out
with some form
Photoshop.
of
Let's
gas
go.
cloud or something like that inside of it. And if you hadn't noticed, Roxogama is the guy who destroyed Universe 51,
oh my God,
which is the entire Jack Kirby continuity. And the presence.
He destroyed a universe. He destroyed a universe where the presence was God. Like, the presence is God over all universes. In the Ori, like, okay.
Didn't you? So I want to hear from you why the presence wasn't destroyed along with the rest of Earth 51 when Earth 51 is
because God sphere plus level beings exist outside of singular universes. Like, anybody who has a brain knows that.
Directly cited.
Come on now, come on. We got better than that. Okay, here it is. Boom. Let's go. Okay. So if you think I'm full of shit, then explain this one.
Oh, Lumos, you and your friend are completely full of shit, and I will be more than happy to explain it to you.
Okay. I wish.
This is necessary.
Please help me. Help me.
All the world
help me understand your arguments better.
Broadcast a signal out and inform the judges of the source in the greater omniverse, which you've already admitted is indeed the overvoid.
The context of the overvoid in the Final Crisis and Multiversity version is not the same context of what the Scott Snyder and Josh Williamson overvoid is. I've explained that and said that in literally every video I've
nothing
ever made,
actually
of you, and once
nothing here actually relevant in terms of that. He says he explains it and he throws a bunch of scans that don't actually say like anything as relevant to that. Beyond the multiverse means everything on the map in terms of inside the source wall.
Again, you're flipping what I said in my video to prove some kind of point, I guess.
Of her actions. So you're just blatantly wrong here. Blatantly
Explain to
wrong.
us
Damn,
how
that guy
I'm
was
blatantly
based.
wrong when the author is live on video telling you that it's a completely new rewrite of the origin stories of the
You're
DCU.
blatantly wrong now.
This one.
You
But
can't
the six,
stay
and
in the
things that happen
past.
At the end are pretty bold, you know, and definitely rewrite a lot of sort of mythology of the DCU.
True.
And the exact same comic you pulled that scan from has the answer.
Just because it rewrote a lot of cosmology has nothing to do exclusively with the Final Crisis stuff. You can't prove that. There's nothing saying so, but that was cool.
Why did
No, dude, it only has the answer for his cosmology and continuity. Again,
It's
when you go
all
back to
one
Grant's version,
cosmology.
all of the canons
Why do
and
they
continuities
reference
were
those
supposed to be
things?
Inside of the bleed, they were meta. I guess you're not really
Yeah,
understanding that. No matter
the
how
bleed
many times
is
it gets
meta.
put over your head.
The bleed is meta even to Earth 33.
But the Scots.
If you don't believe me, look. Let me find a map. The bleed is there. Earth 33 is contained by it. In the bleed, you could see an infinite amount of worlds, almost like a TV, flashing images in front of you. Welcome to DC cosmology meta. Welcome to it, bro. Hell yeah. Based. And then when things are proven that way, just say, it's different now. Well, yeah, it's different. It's stronger. It's better. It's greater. The cosmology moved on. You should move on too.
You're not really understanding that. No matter
It's
how many
adding
times-
to it. Okay, the bleed is meta in comparison to all the worlds in the multiverse. Oh god, I'm watching my own video now. Hold up, wrong one. Lol.
Snyder series is Scott Snyder's continuity. George
I went way
Thorne's
back,
series
I was the
is
wrong
his own
fucking video.
continuity. Josh Williamson's is his own continuity. All of the continuities were supposed to be meta inside of the bleed.
Oh my god.
And that was the whole point of the Morrison map. That was supposed to show you all of the different continuities. And again, you don't even have to listen to me. You can listen to Grant tell you it live on video again.
Not a train junction.
Okay,
Different lines
once
that
again.
represented different universes, meaning different comic books that contradicted one another.
The problem
Wrong.
I think a lot of debaters don't understand.
Well, hold up. If that's true, then why during the unexpecteds did those characters exclusively go to nil?
Interesting. Yeah, it's a very good question. If only we had some-
Okay, I asked, why haven't the characters gone to nil? Or why have the characters gone to nil since then? If it's a different cosmology entirely.
sort of interview where somebody asked Steve Orlando. Oh yeah, it was me. I asked Steve Orlando about this exact issue.
Okay, so they went there confirming everything to do in Final Crisis is still inside the DC cosmology. But that being said, this guy says the explanation for monitors has changed multiple times. Changed here is you could interchange changed with expanded, right? It has changed based on more information that we've gotten about the verse. For example, the over monitor and shit like that, like that's all the original monitor. That's just, we have a lot more explained. There was limited knowledge at any given time, and you can only go by a limited amount of knowledge, right? You can only go by whatever knowledge you have at the time, or what's being established at the time. But as time moves on and we get more knowledge, you incorporate that into the current canon, because that's how DC works. It's how it's always worked. Like, I don't get that. And this guy even goes on to say, I would not personally deign I have a say in canon when it comes to the DC universe. So this guy's even admitting he's not sure because he's just a work for hire guy. He just tries to work in it. What? The monitors have been a multiversal force. The monitors come from the OG monitor, which, once again, establishes everything past, like the overvoid and shit like that, as being meta in general. That all makes sense. This interview, hold on, you provided an interview for a conversation that reinforces DC cosmology. The writer agrees with me here. It's changed multiple times, yeah, but the whole cosmology didn't change. We just had more cosmology added. If there is 3 layers inside a gobstopper, which is like a candy with multiple candy layers in it, and somebody tells you that, 10 years later you come back to it and somebody says, hey, there's actually another layer in there. That's changing, right? But that's just adding more context, right? That's just adding something else that we didn't comprehend as there in the first place. Like, this isn't what you think it is. In my mind, though, it seems
Why
to
did
be
the
of
characters
interest.
go to
Oh,
nil?
hold up. I want to go back to the end of this. So while they may be all seeing when it comes to the actions of the multiverse, and incredibly powerful, their powerful is not a complete overlap with theoretical or conceptual entities like the presence, the endless, and other characters within the DCU. They could stand against them, but they're not operating to me exactly in the same sphere of influence. Whoa! What? This is actually really good stuff. Okay, this is dope, but too bad it doesn't prove like anything that you thought it did.
Why did the characters go to nil? Let's just...
Because we know the Presence and Lucifer and others are operating on a higher level out in the overvoid currently. So why did they go there? I say this unironically. I didn't need the fucking answer, okay? If you thought it was such a fictive membrane and people couldn't pass that, guess what? He showed up. He did. That's why I asked, well, if it's impossible, why are people still doing it?
Start with that. Okay, well, Omar Sin and some other bad guys were fucking around with Nth Metal, and they're trying to trace its origin.
He really
from,
thought I was like, I'm
that
so
the
stupid I
origin
didn't
point
read this
of
story.
Nth Metal is
Well,
nil in this comic book. Now, you're gonna love this.
keep in mind, this is a cut. This is an entirely separate comic book scan, okay? This is in reference to a Flash story.
You're gonna love my
I want to
little theory
say,
that I have
or a
on
dark
this one.
multiverse
So let me
tie-in.
detail this for you.
So that had nothing to do. That had nothing to do with the bleed. Had nothing to do with that. But okay, let's continue.
Nth Metal is found to be from nil in this unexpected series. Okay, they traced it back.
Whoa, hold up. Okay, how sad? What the fuck? How sad? For all your power, you're wielding You're like infants wielding the Astro Force. You made history when you created the isotope, the strongest and most unstable form of nth metal ever forged, drenched in energy I do not understand. That is not what he just claimed. He said the origins of nth metal were from there. Maybe it's on the next one. Maybe I just forgot about that.
In this unexpected
That's not the
series.
truth. He created a new isotope of it. There's just isotopes from outside the multiverse. Okay, we already know it's outside of our multiverse. It's in the dark multiverse, which is the origin of all of the, like, nth metal. That was the whole point of death. That was the whole point of metal. Was that was the only thing that was possible of stopping beings
Okay,
from
they
there.
traced it
Like,
back to its
like
origin
what?
point, which was...
And here he says, yo, like this shit, the isotope, the energy that he's using to alter it is bleed.
nil. Okay, so why was
That
the
didn't have
origin
to do with
point of
nil.
Nth Metal from nil? Okay, well, if we go back to the original Jack Kirby series, turns out that the flying monitors in this series attacked the New Gods. While they were attacking, they dropped some mystical, magical
Okay, keep in mind, he thinks that these monitors here are the same monitors from the current day. That's the silliest shit I've ever heard, because this entire story would have ended at this point in time. Right? But hold up. These monitors are not the same monitors from later on. When this entire continuity came out, I guess if you say it all happened at the same time, maybe I guess you could wank that shit into oblivion. I guess you could say that. But keep in mind, this is Element X.
substance that Darkseid never heard of before. Never touched it, knows nothing about it. Hey!
This isn't... Bro, Element X is not Nth metal. Nth metal is 9th metal. 10th metal is beyond it. As we find out in Metal.
Hey, Element X. That's where all the technology from the New Gods came from. The flying monitors attacked the New Gods land, dropped their own technology, Darkseid picks it up, and it's Element X. It's what powers the Miracle Machine. It's what killed Barbados. It's what does everything, whatever the hell you want.
What does any of that have to do with what you said? None of that has to do with Nth metal.
With it. So why is the origin of Nth metal in this series on nil? Well, because nil...
It's not! You did not provide a scan saying that. He created a unique isotope using the bleed, and on top of that, like, using Nth metal. Nth metal is different than 10th metal. 10th metal is far beyond it. That's why it blew up the fucking source wall.
Is the home of the monitors.
He's just like
The
making
monitors
stuff
took
up
it
now?
during a little incursion into the New Gods world, and they dropped it, and Darkseid picked it up. So there's your answer to why nth metal is from nil, and
Hold on, I gotta find this. I don't believe it. Where's my medals? Medals of creation. Do I have a scan saying in here? Okay, notice how nth metal here is specified separate than 10th metal. Okay. That's a flat out guidebook. 10th metal reaches inside all metalings. It's a metal of imagination. It even specifies the difference here. 8th metal is the stuff of gods. 9th metal is dark energy used to carry the power that can defy physics. But the 10th, the metal of the so-called forge itself, the metal of pure possibility, that's not nth metal. They're different. What?
why they had to go to nil.
It's
in
far
that
more
comic book
powerful.
series.
They didn't have to go to nil for nth metal.
Have you read Jack Kirby? It's very clear that you haven't read Jack Kirby at this point. Have you read anything, really? I mean, both of you guys are claiming that you read
Oh
stuff,
god, he's
but what you've
really
seen so far,
trying
I'm
to
breaking
take me
down
to school,
sentence by
but he's
sentence,
fucking schooling
and it's
himself.
literally the complete
Oh
opposite.
no,
It
dude,
doesn't
you're gonna
exist
look
at
so
all in what
bad.
you're
Why do you
saying,
do this to
compared what it is
yourself?
in the comic books right off the panel.
Don't do
beat
it.
up Mandrak.
Yeah. Stop it.
No, he didn't just pull that they beat up Mandrak card. Okay, so now you're a troll. Cool, so this is an interview I had with Steve Orlando, the author of the Unexpected series.
Okay.
Let's see what he thinks about Mandrak. So I ask, where does Mandrak fall in that hierarchy as he was seen after he consumed...
Okay. Whenever I say beat up Mandrak, let's think about this within the context of the story. Mandrak says, I'm gonna fucking murder and kill everybody. I'm gonna destroy everyone. Well, if he's beyond the concept of story, clearly these characters also scale similarly because they had hacks that could affect Mandrak. To be fair, maybe I shouldn't have used the term beat him up. But what you could say is that this character walked up and used hacks to change the entire foundations of his being. Which means he had a hacks power that could affect Mandrak. A hacks power that was beyond story. Even around hyper stories if you want to use the Cosmic Armor Superman scaling. Okay.
and chained a being on par with the Spectre by the name of the Fatalist, one of my favorite DC characters, by the way. Basically, the idea of the fires of creation and destruction itself from the Forge basically not harming Mandrak, even in his weakened state, was amazing to me. It really showcased the power of this character, and that I would like to know
With
more
10th metal,
about
he
this.
should be able to, yeah.
I was curious to
That
know
shit
if
can break
Mandrak
the
was
source
the
wall.
manifest version of the Overvoid.
Hold up.
Since it
If 10th metal can break the source wall encapsulated the monitor sphere at one point in time. Like, look at this, clearly. That means it's a higher, that means it's like a higher, like, cosmological structure that envelops it entirely. So, like, it's either on its level at the bare minimum, but destroying that or blowing a hole in it would be pretty significant. So, like, it would make sense that characters wielding that could. Oh, yeah, that's
It was said
crazy.
that
Like,
Dax
what?
Novu was the first and original probe that Overvoid sent in to investigate the flaw. Is
True.
that relationship similar to Jesus and Yahweh of the Christian belief?
True.
Meaning, Jesus is his own entity, but still a part of Yahweh. Both are regarded as one and the same, but separate. Similar to how Mandrak is part of the Overvoid.
Or kind of like how, you know, according to other writers, that the void is contained within the presence. The presence is him, and man, look at these. Like, this is so funny. Why? Stop it!
Or is that
You're
actually
hurting
the Overvoid
yourself.
giving itself
No.
a character arc?
Okay,
Grant
and this
Morrison
shit is at that time. Like, I don't understand. And this guy already admitted earlier he had no fucking
told
clue what he
us
was
that
talking
the
about.
Overvoid works through
Like, he
its
can
own
only do
ultimate
his best
story
to
in
operate
Superman
in it,
Beyond.
and their continuity
And
is
it
their
was my
own.
theory that Mandrak
his own
equals the
take.
Overvoid manifesting itself into a character to play in the story. And Mr. Orlando replies, well, the first thing we realize is the fires of creation and destruction are really the same thing, so they're never really harming anything. They're both just changing a thing.
True.
The idea of previous heroes trying to destroy Mandrak, as we thought, was why he kept coming back. Matter can neither be created or destroyed, so Neon realizing changing Mandrak's nature was the only way to end
Yeah, he had hacks to affect him. Yeah.
his threat.
As a creator, the specifics of Mandrak and the overvoid to me were less interesting than his positioning as being the ultimate consumer of...
Even specifies! Yo, Mandrak's relationship to the overvoid is something like I don't care about. All I cared about was he was the ultimate consumer of life, the ultimate end of story. So he threw him in this story to make his singular story more popular. That makes sense to me.
The ultimate end to the ultimate story. After all, in some senses, the story of his defeat is the story of to be continued. So we approached Mandrak as he defined himself the prime consumer of life, and thought about how his nature could be changed, and his function of consumption
this
could
is
be
like
pivoted
crazy,
into
bro.
something
Holy
beneficial.
shit.
So we left Mandrak as the being consuming all the dying worlds in the dark multiverse, a form of mercy. I could largely see the 2-in-1 definition for Mandrak and the overvoid. It's certainly valid. But since this entire concept of the multiverse and monitors has already been changed between Mandrak's Final Crisis appearance and his appearances in The Unexpected, we had to choose what to focus on that might dance through the raindrops and make sense for both takes on the DCU past
Once again,
and present. So there you
changed
go.
as
Not
in
the same
extra
canon,
content.
And in the Unexpected version, Mandrak
It's the same
is
canon!
the part of the overvoid that's playing through the story.
How
So
can we
what-
reference them in the same story? Like how are we referencing them now if it was a different canon? Why don't you think about that? At the end of Metal, we tie, or at the end of Death Metal, we tie every single story ever together 100% either way. So
Once more,
this doesn't
you
say
asked
what
for a
he thinks it
blatant
is.
answer, and you got it, and you still inverted it.
I'm not inverting anything. Okay, even references in this story from the void into the multiverse. Mandrak is in the void. In this story, they call it the void, as well as overvoid. But yeah, into the multiverse, which keep in mind would be the whole multiverse map.
Beat up Mandrak? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He literally gave up because he doesn't like the food anymore. They didn't beat him up. It was Mandrak who was
They defeated
no-selling
him.
the power of the source.
Yeah.
They were all endowed by a brand new version of nth metal. It was the most powerful variant there ever was.
Okay, cool.
And you're downplaying this like it's some nothing?
Outside the multiverse, depending on who you're talking to, can literally just be the Ori of worlds. That's why it's important to grab the context as to what multiverse
This is the
means.
complete,
but,
once more, a common
Nice
theme with both of
try.
you. Just completely invert anything that you're talking about and downplay it at all costs. Mandrak was beat up.
I don't know, man.
He was beat up. Wait a second. He just no-sold Neon and Alden, who were gifted the power of creation and destruction.
Do you think that guy using nth metal overpowered the entire overvoid? Hold on. I want to scroll back here. Do you think in this moment the entire
Wait a second.
overvoid
He just no.
is the corrupted side of the overvoid? Well, okay, that's fair. But this guy didn't create him, and even said like, it's their canon. He's just giving the best he can to dance in between the raindrops of that canon. That's the best he had. This author isn't even like 100 with this. Like, what are we
sold
talking
Neon and
about
Alden,
here?
Who were gifted the power of creation and destruction by the Source Forge. Plus, Alden
Well,
got an
the Forge
extra
of
amp
Creation. That's not
eating
Source
Element
Forge.
X.
What the fuck?
Now, we have shown you that Element X, one piece of it, was capable of breaking the Source Wall. And it's from
Yeah.
nil. And
It's
it
not
can
from
power the
nil.
Miracle Machine and do pretty much
Element
anything.
X is different than the amped nth metal he made. He's conflating these two things. This is whack. You're wrong. They
Bro,
have.
none of them refer to like the Beyond. Crazy how like Joshua
Well, that's
Williamson
funny.
had a
No, that's
whole
funny.
like
No, the monitor literally references Beyond in the scan I showed earlier.
Is anyone else taking crazy pills right now? That he links the same words to mean the same thing, even when the contexts are different? Earlier in this video, he said that the word God must apply to every single version of Yahweh. It must be the presence no matter what. And then in another one, he said all voids are the same because just the word void. All the
Dude,
void
this
mentions
guy is
are
taking the most
overvoid. Now, he's doing the
extreme
same thing here with
interpretations of what
Beyond,
I'm
the
saying.
Beyond reference. He looked beyond the void. You can't look beyond the void. There's nothing beyond the void. It's
Okay, yeah, at this point in time, no characters were strong enough to do it. But that's not even true at this point in time. Because later on in the Spectre run, guess what? Parallax comes across the Joker. The Joker mind hacks or like he tries to mind hacks the Joker. The Joker fucks with the Spectre, causes Parallax to come out, and he kicks the head of the Spectre, Hal Jordan, into the void itself. And he goes out there and finds God. So like, characters can. Lucifer traveled the void. You can. There's other creations out there, an infinite, in fact. What is this kind? Like, this is just
There's
not
nothing out
true.
there. The only thing that was out there was the source and other things.
The only other things. Oh my God, no! This multiverse is an infinity. It's not its own. You have peered beyond the void. You have seen other multiverses. There's nothing else out there other than other stuff. Okay.
He's looking beyond the source wall. He's seeing what's beyond the source wall in this cosmology. But you
The
are
cope.
applying this
The
cosmology
cope.
to the other cosmology that's not the same. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's not even true.
And then
But you're right, Lumos. It's not true. They're completely different continuities, so laugh it up.
void.
Imagine the only way for you to make good scaling is to clip out a piece of time and continuity, and then just say because there's a meta reference, it scales above everything else, and everything else takes place below it. That's one of the weakest arguments I've ever heard. What?
The
That's
World
such
Forger
cat-swank.
looks at the monitor when in nil and stated, "Yo, you looked beyond the void."
My bro's here literally saying that Marnovu looked beyond the overvoid. I just wow.
What? He's denying what happened in the comic. Hold on, where's that? They're at. What do you mean? They're at nil right here. And he says here, you speared beyond the void. He's talking about the multiverse in the context of everything here, even other multiverses. The monitors all come from the monitor. It's the same plane. Holy cow! It's so bad. It's so funny to see him say like I'm like doing things wrong, and I fuck up a lot, but like God
I have nothing to
damn,
say
that's
to that.
disgusting.
And the term beyond was boldened and capitalized. So like the cap and copium is crazy.
It's true.
So his argument, guys. Now, if anybody's even made it this far into the video, congratulations. You stomached some of the worst debating I've ever seen. He's literally
not
telling
debating.
you that because the text said it was bold. It was bolded text that it must be true. That's his
Okay,
entire argument.
it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to figure out when characters bold things inside their text that they're referencing a specific, like a specific thing, right? So like whenever they bold or capitalize the void, clearly they're referencing not just any void. Kind of like how we had at the beginning of this whole thing. Oh my god.
Please, someone help me.
Happening right now, like I swear, this guy is so well read and he has so much information.
I do have a lot of information, and if you've noticed, I'm not the one looking at the panels or the authors and literally 180ing every single piece of data.
How am I
that you receive.
180ing?
I have not done that yet, but your entire video.
Well,
all
hold
three of
on.
them so far.
To 180, you have to flip around. You can't even get 90 because you're not even reading the proper scans right, like that you deliver to us. They don't even say what you think they are. To 180, you've got to like do something. I'm just like telling you the scans. Like when I say something, it's just my scan. Whenever he says something, it's like an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation of something in one era. And it's like, well, okay, that's cute, but like, come on, we got more than that.
Have been points to just invert or make up
What else we
some
got?
kind of new substance just to win some kind of support with your friend here.
But he's only looking through it with like
If this guy thinks I do this because I'm like trying to gain favor with like Wally or like people, like clearly this guy doesn't know me at all. I just like the truth. And so when I see someone talking some bullshit, like I'm gonna call him out for talking bullshit. Like what else do you want from me? Like you're doing the same thing from your perspective, I understand, but the difference between us is like I have scans from the comics that reinforce my points. You have a bunch of like out of context interviews that don't even say what you think they do, and random comics way out of context to make your points for you. So like if you think that makes you look good, then
only
don't.
allows him to have cast vision, right?
Yeah,
Now,
cast
how are you
vision.
going to tell me that I'm looking at it through a small lens when you are literally applying a brand new canon cosmology with completely different definitions for locations and characters? versus
Okay,
the
hold on.
original?
Nil was not different. The overvoid was not different in terms of the current cosmology. They still use the map from multiversity. The map from multiversity that he uses.
Which it was defined completely differently. I'm the one telling you to look at the broader picture. You're the one saying ignore every single other piece of data and only go with this one. So who is it between us that's looking through a very small lens? And CasVision?
I'm telling you to look at all the data, not just from 2000, just not from the 2000s era. it's okay to use content from there. I've told you casting stuff is good, but like, you've got to move past that. There's things that came past that that expand. The expansion is a change, yeah, but it's not a retcon. There's a difference.
So your butt hurt. Your butt hurt that you found out recently that the entire flaw of existence is actually story. It's actually story. Story infected the overvoid, and then at the bottom of this panel, it tells you that the cosmic armor is what infected the overvoid, which implies that the overvoid sees the entire flaw in all of story as a giant mech suit.
Like,
so that's what your butt hurt over.
Cool. There's other characters in the overvoid. There's characters who can go out and into the overvoid. There's characters who can fuck with things like in that range, right? Like 10th Metal blew a hole in the source wall, and guess what? The overvoid started pouring through. That's more clarification that that meta layer is still there, but you'll just say different continuity, so it doesn't count. Apparently nothing besides what you want to post counts as a credible source of information. More people than just Grant Morrison wrote DC. People expanded what Grant Morrison wrote. They didn't retcon what he wrote. You're just wrong.
And that's what all this is about, right? You're upset that the cosmic armor is actually the embodiment of literally everything in existence. Not just
everything in existence for our multiverse, and I'll grant him that. If down the road we have another story where the infinite amount of creations that exist out there, which keep in mind, all have their own stories. Because hands go out and create other multiverses. They have stories. So the overvoid within this context isn't, like, just isn't right. Like, they're just wrong. I don't know what you want me to say. Maybe that was actually the overmonitor, right? Who actually is the monitor's consciousness trying to react to story and everything after his mind was splintered and he was trying to recover. But whatever.
Just the one multiverse, but all
what
the
I know,
continuities
right?
from different authors that exist within the Bleed. By the way, again, something that you refuse to show other people, Bleed is meta. The original Bleed for Grant Morrison's
welcome to the party. The fucking course the Bleed is meta.
Snyder or Josh Williamson's version.
That's not a W.
So what do you not understand about this? You know, instead of attacking me, you should have just contacted me and asked me the questions, because you clearly have no ties to anyone.
Oh, he's so butthurt.
Yours is just a fan reinterpretation.
He's so
and nothing more,
butthurt.
which is fine, and I completely respect that.
Oh,
But
you're
I prefer
just
to listen to the
dumb.
guidebooks
Oh, that's
and
what he
the
said to
content
me.
creators. Mostly all confirm the exact same thing. If you and your subscribers want to take the fan theory road, that's fine, more power to you. But the Final Crisis continuity is outside of continuity because it contains all of the continuities, and that's just not me saying it. That's the author saying it.
At the time,
you saying
and in the
opposite
multiverse
means you and your subscribers don't care what the content
Me
creators
and my
say.
subscribers don't
You
care.
prefer
Attack my
the fan
subscribers,
theory road
yeah.
instead. You said there's a source wall in Marvel. Only in the old school crossover issue.
I
Marvel
didn't say
and Archie
that.
and Star Wars and Harry Potter
Ever.
and all the other franchises don't have a source wall. Nil was destroyed in Final Crisis and deleted by the Overvoid, and its original location was exclaimed to be in the Overvoid.
Yeah.
The map creator says this is a snapshot of how it all looks after the revision in 2014. Nil is in the monitor sphere now, so this is not the same stuff.
We've already
New
covered
Justice
all
League
that in the
2018
prior
series
one.
said Nil was reformed when the multiverse was remade.
Okay. Yeah, the monitor sphere is reformed with the current multiversal structure. It exists at the ends of things. No, he's not saying it was reformed. He said the monitor sphere was formed with the current multiversal structure, which dates back, guess what? That's nothing new! And they even reference peering beyond the void over here. Y'all guess that same skin I had up earlier. Okay, that's not crazy. Why, like... formed with the current multiversal structure. That's because the fucking monitors were sent during the early 2000s, which is the current form of the multiversal structure. I don't understand. Nothing has changed the map since that time frame when the monitor showed up in the monitor sphere. Like, on a large scale. That's just not, like, what is the goal he's trying to prove there?
You're at best skimming them. So you call the guy who is a 2-in-1 definition of the overvoid as someone who just randomly got beat up, no problem. And you said this after I showed the interview. So this is you actively trying to censor and downplay anything you don't like to hear. It's you inverting and ignoring
That's
content
not true.
creators'
I'll
answers,
listen to something
while
that makes
at the same time
sense.
citing you need those direct answers and that you would gladly listen to them.
Well, you got the straight answers, and you still didn't like them, and then decided to cherry pick which answers you felt were something to accept and which weren't. Do you know what the other word for that is called? It's called bias. So in your massive 3-hour rant, all you've done is prove to me, and hopefully others watching as well, that you are no longer a source of information on anything comic book related. You've done literally no investigation whatsoever.
He's
and you've
so
done nothing else
butthurt.
Oh,
You're so dumb. You're so bad. Oh my god.
Same thing
you're
that other
so
people
wrong
do
and stupid.
all over the internet,
Use comics to
every other
reinforce
topic
your
you can
points.
think of,
Oh,
whether
it's so
it's religion
stupid dumb.
or
Oh my
science
god.
or anything at all. When anybody presents any kind of data that the general consensus doesn't like, you can expect the people who are prominent in the general consensus group to shout and
Send
go
one of them my
basically
way.
insane and try to denounce the person who
Since
debunked
you don't
everybody
know.
else. And that's exactly what you did. You didn't listen to a single factual piece of data that I provided.
Well, you didn't provide any factual, like, actual data points that were, like, worth using. Just out of context shit, and that's okay. You know, whatever.
In fact, you
I'm not gonna,
censored
like,
it and downplayed it. You refused to talk about
I'm
it.
gonna, like,
You
deal
refused to
with
show
that,
it to
like-
any of your subscribers. And then you got
Okay,
along with
what do you mean I refused to show it to any of my subscribers? I live streamed the whole fucking video, just like I did with this one. I showed them everything. I showed them every one of your arguments and debunked them on the fly, just like I did in this video.
with your friend here in a 3-hour rant, and you didn't get a single piece of data right in 3 hours. So doesn't that mean
I didn't get a
that
single piece
if
of
you
data?
can
He got me. He slammed me,
completely
boys.
Ignore every piece of objective data and instead replace it with your own subjective bias for 3 hours straight.
Oh my god.
That means you are not a resource center of comic book
All I'm gonna
information.
say
It's the complete
is there's a
opposite.
reason why this
You're a
guy has
resource center of
322
pure
subscribers.
bias and favoritism and nothing more. And I dearly, dearly hope that everybody watching and all of your subscribers wises up to that.
Yeah. And you know what? I had them on here just for that exact reason. So they could see all the bullshit happening and I could call it out as like bad and like wrong and stupid because I don't like misinformation. And if you're saying some stupid shit, I'm going to call you out for it. I don't think that's even like a hot topic. Like I don't understand what exactly he thought the W was here by pulling me on, but yo, I can't deal with this guy, man. And not because I'm not equipped to. Clearly I am. I styled on him this entire meme. But like, if you think that posting everything you posted in the first video was a W when I debunked everything in that video, and then I even walked you through it like a child in this one, that you're gonna come out on top, that's an L. Like, whatever, dude. Like, I'll keep rolling on this. I'm sure he's gonna love my monitors video coming out tomorrow too. That shit'll be super funny. But like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, is it crazy to think that these are like the top dogs in like the DC community? This guy's got a huge following. He like interviews everyone and he still managed to fuck it up. It's so impressive. It's so impressive to see him like just fumble the bag as hard as he did and think it was a W by having never moved on. Imagine thinking that like the current cosmology for DC doesn't have layers of meta reality in it. That's so fucking, that's such weak argumentation, and it's just bad. Imagine never moving on from cast syndrome, like the cast scaling meta of the 2000s. Oh my god, bro. I hope this video educates him a little bit better. I hope he gains something from that experience. Because I know I've been really negative in all of this, mainly because he is like pretty negative towards me. And to be fair, I went pretty hard on him in my debunk. But like, come on, man. We expect better out of you as the DC community. We expect you to move on with the times and not be stuck backwards, but it is what it is. But I think I've got the general idea for what this guy brings to the table. This guy's thing is cast vision. Anything and everything has to support cast. If it doesn't support cast, it's just different cosmology doesn't count. And that is the worst argument you could ever make in the current day. Ever. Especially considering nothing really changed with the cosmology. Nothing changed that removed anything from the cosmology or made it less. We only added and expanded past it. It is what it is. And if you can't accept that, then I mean, that's cool. You can like hang out in the the late 2000s. Like, that's okay. But like, Final Crisis is a part of the current meta. Deal with it, man. If that's the L you wanna die on, if that's the hill you wanna die on, then I guess more power to you. You can call me stupid, you can call me dumb, but you're probably just gonna run back here and clout chase because it's a good way for you to gain viewers. And I probably honestly did you a huge favor by exposing you to other people. So like W, but for you, I like that's a W. And I'm always willing to like talk about content and stuff. I didn't reach out to you because I don't know any of your contact information too, by the way. My contact information is literally in my description. So I don't reach out to people I don't know. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to. But, like, it's not like I was hiding or anything like that. I don't go talk to random people when I can just read the actual information from the comics and then, like, find those interviews myself. Or, my bad, Twitter statements and DMs. Like, I don't have to go, like, deal with those. But, I mean, it is what it is. Comic Curator, look, I ain't got no hate towards you, dude. I am not a hateful person. It is what it is. I don't know what to say to you, man. Have an open mind. Consider change. Consider what you could do to make things different and upgrade your scaling for the DC cosmology. There's nothing insinuating there was a change in cosmology that made any of the events of Final Crisis more effective than anything in the current day, and nothing saying that after the events of Final Crisis, everything for that verse or cosmology that Grant Morris established was removed. Nothing. You say it in a lot of your videos, and you give interviews that don't demonstrate that, but it is what it is. And I guess we'll let the fans decide. Comment section, feel free to toss down exactly what you think, who you think is right. I'm open to criticism. It just has to be valid criticism. Wally and I argue all the damn time about who's right in different areas and different things. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with even being wrong. He's proved me wrong on a variety of things. But, like, I have yet to see that from you. I'm a very open-minded person, and you've got to bring some information that slams me. And to prove that I am some level of open-minded, I even told you were right about, I think, 2 separate things in both of my responses. So it's not like I'm unmovable or anything. Like, if you're right on something, I'll flat out admit, yeah, you're right. Like, I shit the bed. Sometimes people shit the bed. They're human. Like, it's gonna happen. But the problem is, every turn I look with you, you just kind of like shit the bed even more. Like, we're running out of bed to shit in at this point in time. So take what I have. Maybe sit on it, think about it for a little while, and move on. Like, I don't understand. Some people just want to be stuck there, and you can't move all people's opinions. And he'll think of me like the same way. And he's like obviously super butthurt about this whole thing, because I'm sure some of his fans like sent it to him and it was like, oh, well, check out this debunked video. The guy like laughed at you and stuff. And it's like, well, no, I'm not laughing at any person, just their arguments. I laugh at arguments more than I do people, because you sound like a cool guy. It sounds like you know what you're talking about whenever it comes to like going out there and getting interviews and stuff. You just have no clue how to interpret things. And like, okay, like I don't mean that negatively. It's just like, it's what you're demonstrating me. I can't, if you give me bad arguments and I look at them, then like I can only say they're bad arguments. Like, I don't know, man. But I'm going to have to end it there. This is going to conclude the Comic Curator saga, the era, okay? The Comic Curator arc is gone now. We're going to move past this action because I've realized there's nothing to be gained from this person other than recognizing that there is a consistent bias whenever it comes to this person's arguments. And that's okay. I think a lot of what acknowledging people with is understanding that people tend to view things through specific lenses. And if they're not open-minded enough, they'll never look past that. I feel like I'm an open-minded enough person, and if more data actually comes in that drives those points home, I'll be more than willing to respect those and change my opinions on them. But nothing he provided was worthy. And the circles I'm in, he would have been like brutally laughed at for such like silly scaling. Like, I couldn't imagine in the coffee shop if I was like walking around with like, and I was like bragging about shit like this, how I would have been like made fun of for like bringing like stitching together author statements I DM'd them and stuff. Oh my god, that don't even apply to my argument. It's sad to see. It's sad to see exactly where things ended and where things laid, but I'm leaving it there. I understand what the guy's about. I understand his goals and his purposes, and apparently they're just to make Cass look good. And if that's the case, he can do him over there. I've solved the Rubik's Cube that is this argument with him. And I'm going to make a few videos down the way to help kind of drive my point home, outside of just live streams, because a lot of my people don't watch live streams. These are really long, and I'm okay with that. But I really have to drive the point home on some of these things, like with the monitors and stuff. So I guess that being said, thank you for everyone in the chat for hanging out with me, especially you, Gabriel. I see you over there. Keep crushing it out there. Keep the Theromax Corps strong and keep it pushing. And we're going to see exactly where we can get in the future. And I'll continue to hit you guys with the most solid evidence I possibly can. And of course, me and my fellow scalers will, of course, do the same thing. We all disagree. We have a whole Discord where we argue about things and we all try to check each other and make it viable. So I look forward to delivering you guys the most accurate information I possibly can whenever it comes to anything out there. But hope you guys enjoyed the Comic Curator arc, man. It was a wild one, but it was super fun, and I'm glad I had you guys along for the ride. But with no further ado, I think I'm gonna go life it up out there since we hit, man, I don't even know, probably 3 hours of this between the two like videos slammed together, or the two live streams I have that are slammed together. Check out that monitor video I should have out hopefully tomorrow or potentially the day after. It's gonna be a banger and it'll reinforce a lot of the points that I made here specifically. And if you guys want like a specific video that is more of a constructed video in response to this stuff, let me know, because I love spreading more information as accurately as I can. And honestly, it's kind of a blast to just hang out with you guys in chat. But with no further ado, I guess I'll see you guys down the way, okay, Lanterns? Later.